I want to tell you a story about one of the biggest failures of my life, and how, looking back, I realize it probably saved me. I was never a bad student, but I was never a genius either. Average grades, just enough to keep my parents happy and teachers off my back. But in my final year of college, everything changed because of one single exam. It was my last semester. I'd already been offered an internship at a company I really wanted to work for. My plan was simple: pass this one last paper, finish the degree, join the company, and finally make my family proud. Easy, right? Well, life had other plans. The subject was statistics, and I hated statistics. I tried studying, but my mind was always somewhere else: parties, my friends, my phone, and all the usual distractions. Deep down, I knew I wasn't prepared, but I convinced myself I'd be fine. I always found a way to scrape by. So, the day of the exam comes. I remember walking into the hall, seeing everyone hunched over their papers, pens flying. But for me, the moment I opened that question paper, my heart sank. It was like it was written in a foreign language. I didn't understand anything. I sat there for 3 hours, scribbling nonsense, pretending to write so no one would know I was blank. When I walked out of that exam hall, I knew it was over. I'd failed. For the next few weeks, I pretended everything was fine. I hung out with my friends. I told my parents it went okay. But when the results came out, my heart dropped. I'd failed. Not just that paper, I had failed myself. When my parents found out, the disappointment on their faces crushed me. My friends moved ahead, collecting their degrees and sharing job offer letters on social media. And me, I was stuck. One failed paper meant I couldn't get my degree on time, which meant I'd lose my internship too. Everything I'd worked for just vanished in one stroke. I remember lying in bed for days, curtains drawn, phone turned off. The shame was unbearable. I kept thinking, why did I do this to myself? Why didn't I study harder? Why do I ruin everything? One night, I couldn't sleep. I went for a walk to clear my head. It was around 2 a.m. The streets were empty, just me and my thoughts. I sat on a park bench and just stared at the sky, feeling so small, so helpless. Then, out of nowhere, an old man, he must have been a watchman or someone working nearby, walked by. He looked at me, nodded, and said, "Whatever's weighing you down, you can't carry it forever. Put it down before it breaks you." It sounds so simple now, but in that moment it clicked. He didn't know me, he didn't know my story, but he was right. I was carrying this failure like a 100-pound bag on my back. It was suffocating me. That night I made a promise to myself. This one failure would not define the rest of my life. So I started to pick myself up. I accepted that I'd have to stay an extra semester to clear that paper. Instead of seeing it as punishment, I saw it as a second chance. I stopped hanging out with people who distracted me. I switched off my phone during study hours. I found online lectures that actually made statistics make sense. I studied alone in my college library for hours every day. It wasn't easy, but every time I felt like giving up, I remembered that stranger's words: "Put it down before it breaks you." The next time I took that exam, I didn't just pass, I topped the class in that subject. I finally got my degree. Of course, I'd lost my internship by then, but I realized something important. That company was never my real dream. It was just convenient. It was a shortcut. Having that extra time made me rethink what I truly wanted. I spent months learning new skills online: coding, design, communication, things that I was actually interested in. And slowly, doors opened. I started freelancing. I built my own small business. And today, I work for myself, on my own terms, doing something I genuinely love. All of that was possible because I failed that exam. If I hadn't failed, I'd probably still be stuck in a job I didn't care about, living someone else's dream, not mine. Sometimes the worst thing that happens to you can turn out to be the best thing that happens for you, but you don't see it in the moment. You just see the pain and the shame and the disappointment. So if you're listening to this and you failed at something, an exam, a job, a relationship, remember, it's not the end. It's just a lesson. It's a chance to pause, to ask yourself, what do I really want?
Am I doing this for me or for someone else? One failure won't ruin your life unless you let it. So pick yourself up, learn from it, and then move forward, even if you're scared. Because you never know, that failure might just save your life too. Moral of the story: sometimes your biggest failure can be your greatest teacher if you don't let it break you. If this story reminded you to see failure as a lesson, share it with someone who needs to hear it. And remember, one closed door might just lead you to the right one. Keep going.